Thanks for spending time with me. And how did you, as the director principal of your program, your school here, how did you decide to bring LSCI to your program?
Well, first of all, when I interviewed for this brand new school position, I was the first employee. I was the guy who had about a year to develop the program. In my initial interview with the founders, with the investors, I brought up life-space crisis intervention as the clinical structure for our program. And if they had disagreed, I would have been working somewhere else right now. This was definitely a deal breaker, us doing this, us having this as an opportunity to work, I think, most effectively with our students.
Okay.
I was introduced to LSCI in a previous position when I was a director of a public alternative school, and saw that the strategy there among many of the staff seemed to be, if you yell at me, my response would be to yell at you louder. If you swear at me, my response would be to swear at you better. And I certainly saw that, well, on times being able to control behavior, certainly not being an effective strategy to change behavior and help students. If I had remained in that position, I certainly would have and was intending to move toward having the staff trained up in life-space crisis intervention as a much more effective strategy to work with. So that introduction to it, now it's been 7 years ago, 8 years ago, has evolved into us using it here at Felicity School as our, and I've referred to it as our clinical structure.
Yeah, thank you. What specifically have you learned about students or working with students because of LSCI? What's been reinforced that maybe you've already had?
Yeah, I think, again, I think there's controlling behavior in a school environment, and then there's changing behavior. So I think using an LSCI approach helps us help students change behavior. It definitely is not a situation that, or it is not an approach that just involves controlling, because I think using LSCI effectively sometimes takes us away from the charge of a school, which is education, academic education. But I think in the long run, it allows us to work much more efficiently with students as students in academic areas. Once we understand, once they understand, more importantly, where these behaviors are coming from, and once they plan with supportive staff to change behaviors. So I've seen that as being the primary reason that we're getting into using life-space crisis intervention.
Okay, yeah, thanks. What have staff said to you or made comments regarding the LSCI training that they just received this summer?
Yeah.
What comments do you get?
Yeah, well, actually, just about a month ago, 5 weeks ago, we were wrapping up our training. I have, being a brand new program, I had the opportunity to select staff. I didn't inherit any staff. And I was lucky enough to find a very experienced teacher, staff member, who I believe sees LSCI as the right answer. Similar to me, after all of my years in education, one of my sad moments was not finding LSCI sooner. I wish I'd have known this 30 plus years ago when I started teaching. So my experienced teacher, I think, for her it was an aha training, an aha moment. She realized that this was the way to work with kids. The other teacher, I have 2 full-time teachers on staff, the other teacher is fresh out of an undergraduate program. Young man, first-year teacher, and I think he's still working on understanding it. He has an understanding, he has a technical understanding of how LSCI works, how to apply the skills that he's learned and been trained in. But I'm not so sure at this moment in time that he's accepted them as the right way to do things, the right way to work with kids. I still hear questions occasionally about, consequences. What consequences can I use? What rewards can I give? And those are definitely words that I'm not reinforcing. Definitely words I don't want him using, or questions I want him asking, nor do I want him asking. So I have a really different, two very different people in very different points in their career. The young teacher that we have, I'm not sure he realizes it yet, how lucky he is to be introduced to LSCI this early in his career. But I'm sure that if I have the opportunity to talk to him in 30 years, I'd like to think that he's going to be very grateful and thank me for giving him this tool to work with effectively with kids.
Tell us a little bit about Felicity School.
Felicity School is a school designed to work with students with emotional disorders. Whether some of that emotionality is reflected internally or externally, I think we could work effectively with either type of student in those subcategories. We started as a school, the founders of the school built it based on the life of the younger sister of one of the founders, who was an attorney, public defender, defended adolescents on death row in another Midwestern state, and who believed that everybody was good inside. And she lived her life, both professionally and personally, under that philosophy. So to honor her, and she passed away about 15 years ago, I think, as a very young woman from breast cancer. To honor her, he named the school after her. Her name was Felicia. We'd like to think, we certainly plan to, project her philosophy in our work with kids. And I think it's a wonderful backstory, and I think it's a great reason to do what we're doing in starting a school like this.
Totally agree with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
All right.
Thank you.